My name is Christian Seiler and I am a plant biologist. Today I'm gonna talk you through the scientific working cycle with an example of a small pilot experiment that I recently did. First thing is, what is the current knowledge? That comes from literature or your own previous work. As I've introduced, I do work with plants that adapt to metalliferous soils. Now, one property of these metalliferous soils is that they drain the water really fast. And I found a study from Polish scientists that some species that occur at these sites show morphological features of drought adaptation. So I asked myself whether my plant species I work with has evolved increased drought tolerance too. The second thing, and very important for every experiment and research project, is to phrase a proper research question. My research question that I ask here is, do arenosa plants that come from metalliferous soils show a higher drought tolerance than plants coming from normal, regular sites? Now, in an experiment you need to test something, and you always test a hypothesis. Now, my research question translated into hypothesis would be that arenosa plants from metalliferous soils show increased drought stress tolerance. Now we have the setup to actually design the experiment to test this. The phenotype that we measured in this experiment is the relative water content. The expectation that we have is that plants that are more drought stress tolerant, they keep more water in their tissues under drought stress. The next step is to analyze the data. And we always make replicates and use statistical analysis. We need to do statistics to simply discriminate the real signals from the noise. Let's do the statistical analysis. I've loaded the collected data into software called R, and now I'm going to plot it. So these are the results. On the y-axis here, there's the water content of the plants, and the red boxes are the water content of the plants that have been watered normally, and the blue ones are the plants that have had the drought treatment. And what you see is that there's a clear difference in water content where the drought treated plants have less water in the tissue. What about stress tolerance now? In a different representation, which is this plot here, you will see what I mean. So the gray ones here, these have been the drought treated plants, and the solid and the dashed line are the adapted and non-adapted population. And their slopes are different. The last step is the interpretation of the data. Can we answer the question we asked in the beginning? And can we prove or disprove the hypothesis that we phrased? So different, which means there's a different drought stress tolerance. And it shows that the plants coming from the metalliferous sites have a higher drought stress tolerance than the plants coming from the other sites. So there's an indication now that there's a higher drought stress tolerance, so we can answer our scientific questions. We've learned something new, and now we can do the next thing. We've completed the circle of science. Until next time. Bye-bye.